I'm trying to remember what year it was. There was an earthquake down near Assisi. I remember this, it was something to do. And the earthquake was so huge that in fact, my experience was I lived on the third floor of what they call the Palazzo. And the Palazzo was right next to the church with a grand apartment that's out of the third floor. And I remember waking up, rolling in my bed back and forth. And I was absolutely, and for a moment I didn't know what was happening. I kind of sat up and things were kind of just moving. And I had never been so frightened in my life. I had never been in an earthquake ever before. It was the first one. Of course, there are more terrible ones than that. The ground shifts underneath us constantly. For us not to acknowledge that the ground is always shifting is what disables us from being prepared for when the ground does shift. And I say that figuratively, metaphorically, as well as physically. We don't live in California where those grounds really do shift, but metaphorically we know. Christ-like grounding is that place where not only do you feel safe, not only do you feel secure, but a place where you let go of your fears. And fear can be very disabling. It could be a terminal illness that is announced to you, but then by the grace of God, some medications slow it down or even eradicate it. It could be the ground shifting because your loved one has gone and you're forced to face mortality, your own mortality. The ground could shift because the closeness you have of a friendship or the security you have in your job. There are many places where the ground shifts. I asked you to think about the one word or the image in the story that I dramatized for you, Moses and the burning bush. And I will give you the text in a moment for you to take off for your meditation time, because I do want you to have a quiet time before the next one. I want to open this up to anybody who would like to from their tables, tell me what images came to your mind, or what words came to your mind when you listened to the text. Yes?
I could feel the waves of heat coming onto my face from the burning bush.
Excellent. You could feel the actual heat of the burning bush. Okay? One image. Others? Any words or image? Be brave. Be brave.
How he hid his face.
How he hid his face.
Like you can see, like he would put his hand up, or he turned, but he turned away from God.
I think a moment of consternation, like, what on earth what is happening? What is this?
Can we ask that you speak up a lot louder? There's a lot of people that can't hear here,
Yeah, that's a very
so
good
I'm not one of them, but speak up.
The moment of consternation when he sees it, but he then must be thinking, what on earth is this? You know, rub your eyes. What am I seeing? What am I hearing? Big question mark.
So why did he hide his face? Did you ever answer that question reading that text? Why did Moses hide his face?
I think he was afraid.
He was afraid, which came from what?
You see God's face, you die.
But he didn't know that.
He didn't know who it was. He had no idea what this was or who that voice was. He was afraid.
He was afraid.
He was afraid. Yes?
Well, I was just, as I was listening to everyone talking, what occurred to me also was that he had a sense of, I don't know if I would use the word innocence or naivete, I'm not sure which one. When he first saw the bush burning. And so without fear, he's approaching it to go check it out and find it. There is a bush burning, man. And he's just walking up to it to see what's going on. And it wasn't until that moment when God spoke to him and said, here's who I am, take your sandals off. This is the situation where he was overcome with that he was sort of innocent and almost, I don't know, maybe fearless before, and then as soon as he encountered God and was faced with God in that moment, that's when he experienced the fear. It caused him to hide his face.
Okay?
See, he knew God was there, in my perception. He knew God was there, he saw the burning bush, and he turned and hid his face in shame.
Okay?
You are standing on holy ground.
Was what?
And that was really profound and spoke to me because I asked myself, is my ground holy? My space holy?
And did you answer the question of, you don't have to share with everybody,
Yeah, well,
but when in your life did you really know that? What an incident, could you share that?
well, it's many incidents. So, I mean, and I talked about I have a labyrinth at home. And just walking that labyrinth and feeling God's presence.
Yes. You know, my sister, when she had her first child, it was her only child, but she had her first child. I was a new priest at the time, and, you know, all of us were really involved. But, you know, I remember my sister saying that she believed that there was God. She believed what her Christian faith taught her. But she said, when Vincent Malachi McAteer III was born, she knew it was absolutely true. For her, that was the holy ground. Those of you who have had children probably know that's not an easy ground to go through. You have a child, but then it becomes holy ground. Okay, well, yes, the journey.
I just wanted to say, I think we had commonality amongst the 5 of us that were sitting here
Yeah.
about holy ground, that nature, seeing something like the Grand Canyon or the coastline of a beach, really played into being on holy ground, as well as some of life's experiences. So interaction with the community and looking at what's been created, holy ground.
Holy ground. Yes.
Well, I think all ground is holy, but it's what we've done with it.
Oh.
Whether we've treasured it or whether we've defiled it, and the same is true of people. So it all works together. Sort of everybody's on holy ground, so I should treat my neighbor just as well as I treat myself on my holy ground. Yeah, or better, definitely.
But would you agree that once you know it's holy, only then can you say, I've made it unholy? Is that
Yes.
sound?
Yes.
When you realize it is holy ground, then you can recognize.
And that's when you hide your face from
I
God.
made this unholy.
Yeah.
Good to say humanity, as you say.
I don't think it makes it any less holy though.
No, but
It may be defiled.
yeah,
It's still holy.
yeah.
Yes.
I
Excellent.
felt like that he hid his face because Moses didn't feel that he was capable to do God's work. That he didn't feel like that he was a worthy servant.
It's unwarranted.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, we're not going to go through the whole story. The whole journey is a long and winding road. You know, from the Nile to Egypt and growing up with the
Did Moses
Egyptians.
really know God at that point?
Well, that's very interesting. That's very interesting.
Because he didn't grow up in the home he was supposed to grow up in. And he
Well, and Jovita, he didn't grow up as a Jew,
right.
did he? He was with the Egyptians. He was looking at a lot of gods.
And it
He
wasn't.
saw his bloodline, and not knowing it was his bloodline, worshiping this one God.
No, being a Jew and understanding the history, I think I'd quake in my boots if somebody really put Abraham in front of me. Would.
I
If I didn't know about it, I do now.
Well, his long and winding road, hiding his face. When was he able to take his hands away from his face? I would describe it. Then realize he was on holy ground. You know that about the story? When was that? Anybody? What do you think? Yes?
I think it's the thing on the ground.
The Ten Commandments?
No, when you put a Pharaoh, thing on the ground.
Oh.
Serpent.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Go that thought's coming up this afternoon. Yeah. I think it was, well, who are you? And who am I supposed to say you are? You want to do what? Go to Egypt and what? Well, who am I going to say you are? And God said to Moses, I am who I am. This is what you say to the Israelites. I am sent you. That is the moment, I think, the holy ground experience seeped into Moses' head, that holy ground was a ground God had not only made, but he had been on it all the time. He just wasn't aware of it. He just didn't put the dots together. He didn't connect it. Okay, these are just reflections. We're not doing any deep exegesis of the text. Obviously, we're skipping over that. Many of these stories, I'm leaving to you. The whole story of Moses. Even if you don't think you know the whole thing, you do probably. But I want to give you the text from which the burning bush is, which gives you the whole story. And I do want you to have time. We don't come back till 10:45. Right, Cindy?
That's what the schedule says.
Follow your agenda. So, somebody else wants to take these off with you. I don't think I'm going to give you any requirement that you have to be in absolute silence or you have to be alone. I think I'm going to leave it open for you to decide, is there a companion, a friend you want to be with, or are there a few of you want to speak? The only thing I would ask you to do is spread out so that we're not all talking in this room, and go somewhere either quiet, read the text, think of 2 questions. When were you on holy ground? When did you hide your face from God? Think of the images in the story and the words that we heard some people communicate. Think of his long and winding road. Begin to think of yours. The next 2 meditations, we will continue to think of your own winding road. Which the song says, and I'll end with this. The long and winding road that leads to your door. Think of that for a moment. We're going to the doorway. And there are many doorways that we pass through to get to the final destination of the door. That leads to your door that will never disappear. I've seen the road before. It always leads me here. Lead me to your door. Well, obviously for us as Christians, our door is Christ, which we are leading. Our winding journey, no matter how winding it is going to lead us to Christ.